And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am, well, as always, I'm Wet Hamster. And we're doing a weapons demonstration. This is actually probably the more interesting part for people who want to vote on the weapons. Now, they have all the old weapons from the first game. They also have a bunch of new weapons. But we'll take them in the proper order as they come. They're all Slay 5 Gear Prey. Now, the Sword and Shield has actually gotten an update. I believe I did, while they were kind of impromptu weapons demonstrations, I do believe I showed them off a little bit better, but since the monsters are spread out between a larger area, then, how do you call it? What do you call it? Since the monsters spread out over a larger area, I'll be showing off the moves as I go along. I won't be standing still in one area, showing off all the moves, and then going out and using the moves, and then having to move between basically 3 areas, because all the monsters are pretty spread out. And otherwise the video would take a lot longer if I had to do it that way too. And as they mentioned, you can actually use, when you have the shield, the blocking button pressed down while you're guarding, you can use items instead of having to put items away and then, or not items, put your weapon away and then using items just like that, like I demonstrated. So, that's a very handy feature of the Sword and Shield. Actually, I have to admit, I'm a big fan of the Sword and Shield just because of the agility you get. I like being mobile. And as they mentioned, jump attacks are the key, and I really kind of have to agree there. If you're gonna attack anything that's any large monsters and trying to hit their tail, usually you have to stick with jumping attacks or knocking them down and chopping at their tail. For example, there's a slash combo, there's the circle slash, and I allow myself to get hit because I'm busy pushing some buttons. Actually, the reason why this is what I wanted to show. You have to take your weapon away, and then you can kick your enemy. So that's a new feature with this game. You can actually use kick. I don't believe I could kick in Monster Hunter or Freedom. At least I'm pretty sure you can't. I could be wrong too. I'm sure the thread will correct me if I am wrong. But yeah, you can kick enemies. I find it rather amusing. And he's dead. I have horrible experiences with monsters that get up, like jockeys in Monster Hunter Tree. I have horrible experiences where I think they're dead and then they get up anyways, and from now on I like to, or rather, not from now on, but I just like to, make sure they're dead. So I save myself the trouble of going, oh god, they're not dead. So, moving on. Also, you'll forgive me if you hear sounds in the background. That is the dogs. But, as you can see, the enemies are pretty spread out. Again, the reason why I'm trying not to extend the video length more than it already will be. I still do like that they give you proper weapon tutorials and explanations of how to use each weapon. And then you see just how horrible I am at hitting. And these guys have a spit attack. Yeah, they're jerks. Alright, that's 4 Gia Prey down, and 1 more to go. Next room will have 2. Basically, there are 6 Gia Prey in the entire area. So, I just demonstrated the whole using items behind a shield. A few more times, just to show it off. And because I had spare items. But let's make short work of them and move on to the next weapon. And as you can see, you don't take damage, as usual. When you won a mission, you can't die. Unless you do what I did, with the bomb. I was not going to re-record that, mainly because it was gold. It was one of those things that you don't expect to go wrong, but goes wrong, and then it turns out to be pretty amusing. And while we're waiting for the... well, you know what, we're just going to test out kicking a little bit more. In fact, you can kill things with kicks. Just don't rely on it, because it's pretty weak damage. Meanwhile, we'll also dance on his grave. Well, not entirely on top, but the sentiment is still there. Next comes the dual blades. Not much has really changed from Freedom to Freedom Unite with the dual blades. In fact, nothing has changed at all. It's exactly the same, it's still a pretty awesome weapon though. So, we can do our slice combos. We can mix it up a little. I think the only difference is that we can sort of, if we push the circle button in the directional pad, we can slash in that way immediately instead of having to turn around. I think that's the only real difference. It can be handy. And now we're out here. The monsters are at the same places every single time. There's just these 6 Gia Brays. So we're showing off some of the basic melee attacks. And let's make quick work of these enemies. Yeah, the dual blades are pretty powerful. The biggest minus with them is you can't really block or do anything like that, and the Demon Eye sucks your stamina out pretty quickly, but you can use items to fix that. I think also the Hunting Horn can fix it. I'm unsure of that though. I haven't really experimented enough with the Hunting Horn. But we'll get into the Hunting Horn a little bit later. In my opinion, the Hunting Horn is one of those really damn awesome weapons that, you know, it's just really damn awesome and cool. But there's just some things with the Hunting Horns that, well, it takes some skill to use, let's put it that way. And it's more, I'd say it's more of a multiplayer weapon than anything. But in general, the Hunting Horn is awesome. And that damn Vespoid, it's always there. But we have 2 more victims. Excellent. And we can still do our stab and thrust, but let's play with Demon Eyes. And I miss horribly. That's something I gotta get used to, is that these weapons have little to no range, and when you're attacking, you're not taking steps forward, you're just standing still, for the most part at least. But we haven't really gotten a very good look at this area. Let's take a look. Nope, no monsters there. Actually, I was mainly just checking to make sure. But there we go. We got one more to spawn. But that's not boring. Then we got nothing to stab our weapons against. I honestly prefer the 6 monsters rather than just 5. But we'll try a few more attacks and looking at how it looks, I guess. Oh well. That should be it for this weapon, though. Wasn't really attacks, more just, you know, demonstrating demon eyes. Anyway, next weapon is the Greatsword. Now, the Greatsword has been upgraded since the first game. Now we have a sort of power slash that we can charge up. This is pretty hard to use. I mean, it is really hard to use. Let alone that it charges up, it takes forever to charge up, and timing is key with it. Mainly, I'd advise to use it when you've put a trap on a monster and you don't have, you know, bombs to use instead. Then you'll want to use your sort of power slash. And as you can see, they equip us with a bone sword. At this point, I don't bother to take the map. We've already seen what the areas we're going to get to see. In fact, that's the entire map for this area that, at least I know of, at least, so far. Ooh, I go repeating myself again. Sorry, internet. And here's the power slash. I did a light power up with it. There are several levels, as you can see. 3 levels that you can charge up. But generally you don't want to charge up to level 3 of the charge unless the monster is prone or knocked down or something along those lines. We also have our good old attacks where we can only walk, we can roll, we can actually do blocks, but blocking is horrible. It's a bad idea. But if it's what'll save your life, then do it. But we've got our 3 attacks. Overhead swing. And a sweeping slash, and a backward swing. And you can chain them in a combo however you want if you time it right. And that's basically all there is to the Greatsword, aside from that you can now charge it up. Still, it makes a huge difference. If you can get the timing down right, it's a wonderful asset to be able to use. Getting some use out of those items. I do believe later on I just ignore using them because it's taking too much time to pick them out of the item box, using them, saving those precious seconds.